We're in a current generation Tacoma, exploring some beautiful country. You know, Tacoma's been around since the mid-90s. It's gone through several generations since then, but it always has been the sales leader. It's no surprise. Very reliable, great resale value, and a huge amount of body and bed configurations. The Tacoma does remind me a lot of the Hilux. I spent many years living in Australia working for ARB, and the Hilux is definitely the king of the pile down there. We have much the same terrain here as you'll find in Australia, deserts, mountainous terrain and such. So what was developed for the Hilux really does help us with the Tacoma. There's a lot of synergy there between the two. When you're talking about Australia, you're talking about vast areas, and people down there really love to go and explore the outback. And the products that ARB have built over the years have really evolved to meet those needs. I can say without any question that the ARB products are the best in their category. It's very hard to figure out something that we haven't already figured out. We've learned a lot over the last 40 years, and everything we've learned has gone into the quality and manufacturing and engineering of the products. This current generation Tacoma has the full ARB package: lighting products, traction products, suspension, protection equipment, winches, tents, rear bars, side bars, everything you'd need for overlanding. You might not need it all, but we're going to show you it all today. We've found a beautiful spot to set up. We've dusted off the vehicle so you can see the accessories a little better. And as an Australian company, I think it's only fitting that we start down under and discuss the ARB Air Lockers. Now, we want to know why you need them and what they are. Why you need them is lack of traction. Air lockers allow you to go a lot further than you will without. How they work is quite simple. We physically connect both wheels together. What happens in a normal differential action, whether it's an LSD or an open diff, as soon as one wheel gets off the ground or gets on real loose surface, it'll spin. All the power goes to that wheel. And the other wheel basically goes to neutral, and you have no drive. Now you can imagine if you're climbing up a hill, that can be quite a problem. If it happens on the front and rear at the same time, you cease to proceed. So with an air locker, you have the ability to engage the rear and front differentials, so you have true all four wheels pulling you along. And this makes for an incredible vehicle off-road. Great for mud, deep sand, hill climbs. I've had 3 Tacomas myself, and I can tell you with front and rear air lockers engaged, they climb like a mountain goat. Very effective off-road. Air lockers are activated by air, and in this case we have one of 3 available ARB compressors shown. This is a twin compressor. It's got the optional manifold here, front and rear air lockers plugged in here. Optional pump up tire kit will go in here, and it gives you a hose that go all around your vehicle for reinflating your tires. When you think about it, the first thing you do when you go off-road is drop your tire pressures. And that's great for off-roading, but not good for the ride home. So it's important to reinflate your tires. And for this reason alone, I think compressors should be one of the first items you ever buy for a 4-wheel drive. Amongst some basic recovery gear, compressors are very important. Now, the air lockers are an amazing device, no doubt, but there are limits. There's always a hill too tall, mud too deep, rock too big to get over. And in those cases, we go to the ARB winch bar and winch combination. This here is a Summit Bar we find on the new Tacoma, and it has a lot of technical features that are far beyond anything else on the market. The ARB Summit Bar is the latest generation of ARB products and has everything we've learned over several decades incorporated into this bumper protection system. Number 1, airbag compatibility. It's a truly engineered bar. Many folds, lightweight, lots of strength. Many features on this bar that you may pass by on the first glance. Trapdoor, access winch control, integrated fog lights, LED turn signals. Down here, hidden away, high lift jack points, very strong. Put a high lift jack on there, lift the whole vehicle right off the ground. The finish, it's an Integra finish. It's a 2-coat system. You have powder coat, zinc system, baked on, and then the Integra finish baked on again. It has a bit of a Teflon substance in it, helps keep clean. You can wipe bugs in that off it pretty easily. All the ARB front bumper systems are engineered around the Warren winch system. This has a xenon platinum in it, the best of the best. Surely you'll get you out of any drama whatsoever. And you may have noticed these rather large lights on the front. These are the ARB Intensities. And the name says it all. They are intense. They're a long-range light. We could talk about lumens and flux and luminous flux and candelas, but all that can be finessed by the marketing department. I like to talk about time and distance. These two lights here will give you at 60 to 75 miles an hour about 15 seconds of forward view. I think that's a little easier to understand. So, it's very hard to outrun them. Now, if you're a racer, you'll outrun these lights at about 120 miles an hour. In that case, you'd want to go to a multiple light setup. But two lights, plenty for any need you'd have. They've got good spread to the ditch and incredible range down the road. Speaking of racing, this Tacoma has a full Old Man Emu suspension, but not just an ordinary Old Man Emu suspension. This has the BP-51 internal bypass remote canister shocks. These shocks take a lot of racing technology for durability and for adjustability, incorporates it into a system that we can bolt onto this Tacoma using the factory settings. That's factory A-arms, leaf spring dimensions and such. Now the beauty of these, you can dial them in to be as soft as you can imagine or as firm as you can imagine. In some cases, if you're loading this truck up with a lot of gear to go on a long adventure, you're going to firm everything up to help compensate for all that extra weight you're trying to control. If it's empty, you're going to back it off and it'll ride extremely smoothly. Now, when you talk racing technology, that can be a little intimidating to some folks because in a lot of cases when you buy a shock of this caliber, it's just a certain length. It's not valved specifically for any one particular vehicle. In this case, these shocks are tuned specifically for the Tacoma. They're the right length on compression and they are right length on extension. There's a simple tool that comes with the shock when you buy it, and it allows you to adjust both compression and rebound. Also, it's a fully assembled kit, so when you buy it, the front coil and the shock is all assembled, and the remote canister has its own bracket, so you're not zip tying anything. It fits like an original equipment part. While we're under the vehicle, let's look at a few other amazing ARB accessories. This recovery point stands out, very obvious. It's nice to have it in red, so when you get stuck, if you're in the mud or at night, it's easy to find. You're not searching around for a little black hook somewhere. This is in addition to the factory hook on the other side, but this one is rated way beyond what you're likely to encounter in any sort of recovery scenario. Very strong, very robust. You'll also notice in gray under here is our under vehicle protection, or UVP. This is a formed, engineered skid system that will protect all the components from the front of the vehicle all the way just past the transfer case. Make sure your underbits are well protected. ARB side rails and steps, uniquely Australian, but very handy to have, and I'll point out some of those features and benefits for you. First off, where it connects to the bumper gives a lot of gusset, a lot of strength added to this end of the bumper. The connector here, very stout, corrosion free. The side rail as it comes along here offers a lot of protection to the side of the vehicle. If you drive over a log or something comes whack up into the vehicle, it's going to hit the side rail instead of hitting your fender. Offers a lot of strength in this area. Carrying along to the side, it's a step. So if you have a roof rack like this Tacoma has, obviously handy for accessing things in the roof rack. Now the step will not interfere with the side curtain airbag system. That's very important, but it is very stout. If you're in a situation where you're traversing some slippery ruts and you slide into a bank, this will take the full brunt. It'll save all this area of your vehicle. Very, very strong. And those are just a few of the important features of a side rail and step. As versatile as this Tacoma is, you get a whole gang in there going away for a weekend, it gets pretty cramped inside. So you want to maximize every square inch available to you on the vehicle. Roof racks come into play here. This ARB rack is full steel construction, picks up on convenient hard points that are already installed in the top of the vehicle from Toyota. What we have, steel construction, very robust, all powder coated in a nice metallic finish. Again, a large area here for storage. Mounts on the factory hard points, very strong, and allows you to maximize the storage capacity of your Tacoma. Another uniquely Australian product is Safari Snorkel. This is the Safari Air Max. It's a little different than previous generations in that it has a lot more volume here. This actually takes air and pressurizes the air intake. So not only is it giving you cleaner, colder air, not only is it getting you away from the dust, but it actually pressurizes the air box to actually help performance. In Australia, the Snorkel evolved to tackle two specific problems: dust and water. We do a lot of water crossings down there and there is a lot of dust. And I think you can find those same uses here in America. When you're crossing deep creek crossings and such, Snorkel is going to be of great use. If you're in a dusty area, again, clean, cold air from up here rather than down underneath where the cold air intake is, it's going to be much more of a benefit. This construction is a cross-linked polyethylene. It's UV stable, it won't go brittle after years in the sun, and I can tell you, you can drive over these things and they'll pop right back into shape. So when you're off-roading, if you happen to have a tree limb hit it, it's not going to be a worry. Many of us like the cohesive look of a front and rear bar combination. So we'd like to introduce the rear bar for the Tacoma, the rear Summit Bar. All steel construction, formed pans. This gets away from a lot of welding and gives you some elegant shapes. Very strong. If you happen to back into something, no damage done here. Carries along to the side, all steel construction. It ties right through into the frame. So if you happen to knock something on the back end here, it's not going to collapse on you. Very, very strong. It allows you to use the factory electricals, factory hitch as well. Another nice feature, kind of tucked here under the way, is a high lift point. You can put a high lift jack under the corner of this vehicle and lift it off the ground if you have to assist in the recovery or change a rear tire. Well, there you have it. We've covered a lot of very well engineered equipment for your Tacoma. To look at these products, click on the link below. For any of our products, and there's a vast array of overlanding products, we're talking rooftop tents, swags, chairs, lights, gauges of all sorts, please go to arbusa.com.